12:30 in the afternoon. The original call that we received was at approximately 12:04 here at the Meux Museum at Tulare and R Street. Basically, it came out as a suspicious circumstance and a potential burglary in progress. Apparently, some of the curators of the museum called police. They stated that there was a white male, what they believed to be was a white male, 20s, in his 20s or 30s. They gave a description, who was pacing frantically in front of the museum. So that's the way the call came out when officers arrived. We had 2 police officers arrive who did witness the fact that there was an individual inside the museum when they were not supposed to be. There were various windows broken and the front door appeared to be pried open. Upon investigation, they did discover a suspect inside the museum who walked out. This person, again, is described wearing black clothing, and I just watched the body-worn camera video. It appears to be light-skinned Hispanic with a beard and possibly in his late 20s, early 30s. This person was not compliant. Officers gave this person orders. He was frantic. He was yelling at the officers. He was screaming profanities. At one point, one of the officers attempted to use a taser to subdue him. It worked temporarily, but it appears that the suspect pulled those prongs out. It made the taser not functional. At that point, it appears that the suspect reached and grabbed some type of a weapon. And we don't know exactly what that is. I couldn't tell from the body-worn camera. It appears to be a hammer. Raised it over his head and came rushing at the officer in a sprint-like fashion. At that point, both police officers discharged their weapons, striking the suspect. The suspect was declared deceased here at the scene. Obviously, this happened a little bit over an hour ago, so it's still being worked. It's an active scene. We are going to open up Tulare Street as soon as we can. Obviously, it's a major street in downtown, so we want to open that up. And it took a little bit longer than expected because we had to have a TAC team come in and clear the museum. We weren't sure if there was a second suspect inside the museum, so we had to take our time to make sure that nobody else was in there. So the 2 officers involved are both, they have both 10 plus years on the police department, so they're both veterans and well-trained officers. As usual, we're going to place them on administrative leave until we get to investigate this case completely. So we have called out the district attorney's office. We always work with them, with their investigators hand in hand when we have a case such as this one. So very unfortunate situation, but I'm also very relieved that neither of my officers were hurt during this incident. So if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them right now.
Did both officers fire their weapons?
I believe that both officers did fire their weapons multiple times, but at this point we're still trying to determine. Appears to be fewer than five rounds fired.
Each?
No, total.
So you talked about the breaking of the windows inside of the museum. Was it not open, or what exactly happened there? Was there anybody else inside of the building?
The museum is closed for the season, so it was secure, it was locked, and it appears that the suspect in this case made entry into the museum. At which time the officers, when the officers got here, he was actually inside the museum, and then came out upon giving orders.
The curators, were they inside the museum, or were they walking?
It appears they were off-site, possibly for lunch, and as they walked back, that's when they noticed the suspect, who was standing in front of the museum, pacing back and forth. That's when they called police. They initially reported that he had a 6-inch blade. I have not been able to confirm any actual weapons. We believe that a hammer was involved, possibly a screwdriver here at the scene, but we know without a doubt that he was armed and had a weapon raised over his head when he charged at the officers.
Do you believe the hammer and maybe the screwdriver or whatever was inside the museum?
We don't know. We don't know. At this point, it's too early. You know, I didn't get close enough to inspect it myself. This is still a crime scene that's being worked by our homicide detectives.
And there was a helicopter that witnesses said too. Can you speak about trying to give commands via that as well?
Right. It's a tool that we use. If we believe that there's somebody inside a dwelling house structure, we do use a helicopter. The helicopter has an advantage because they can watch all 4 sides of the structure at the same time, and they can also give commands through a PA. So it's a tool that we use routinely. And at that time, we didn't believe there was anybody in there, but we had to make sure.
Was it difficult to do something like this, especially when you have a museum that's closed for the season? You have somebody that enters inside. Can you speak about what your officers had to do? And I thought I saw a K-9. Who all responded out here?
Yeah, we had a TAC team that came out here. They know their tactics as far as searching a structure and doing it safely. We also had a K-9 unit. Obviously, we don't want to get an officer hurt. A K-9 can typically tell us if there's somebody inside the structure, and we utilize that method and the helicopter. So difficult. It was a textbook search, and we have to be thorough just to make sure that there's not anybody else inside the building that could hurt someone.
Were you guys able to recover that hammer as well?
The scene is still being processed, so I can't really speak on to what evidence has been recovered yet.
Can you say how much longer the investigation will be taking place at the house?
Well, the actual investigation is going to take, obviously, the better part of the next couple of months. We should have things wrapped up here within the next 5 or 6 hours.
And then forgive me if I missed this. Where in the house did it happen? On the first floor, the basement?
No, the actual officer-involved shooting occurred in the front lawn after the suspect exited the building. Thank you guys very much for covering this.